Welcome back to the program. It's exactly 9:25 a.m. South African time or Central African time. Next online, we are going to be talking with Indian activist Feroze Mithiborwala. He is going to look into the issue around hate speech and online abuse, India's growing extremism problem. So let's hear what's going on there. We did have a similar interview last week with a journalist in India as well. Let's take a different angle. And this time around, let's look at the issue around how ignoring a rising tide of religious extremism will only make it harder for India to attract much needed investment. Of course, we're also going to be looking at this heinous hate crime issue on a personal level, but let's look at it from an economic issue as well. Feroze, salamu alaikum. Welcome to the
Marksam.
program.
Right.
A very, very worrying situation indeed, and it seems to be gaining traction with every passing day. There's not a day that I find when I access the media, uh, not a day passes when I don't see some form of hate crime playing out in some part of India. What on earth is going on with Modi and his BJP party?
Essentially, we are in the 1930s phase of Nazi Germany. In fact, we are getting closer to Nazi Germany of 1940s. If you're aware, recently in Haridwar, a holy town in North India, very holy town, especially for the Hindus, there was what is called the Dharam Sansad, or a religious gathering, where one of the Hindu Pandits gave a call for the genocide of 20 lakh Muslims, or 2 million Muslims. This was an open call. That is time he killed that number. So from hate crimes and hate speech and communal polarization of the 1930s, which we saw in Germany, we've come to that point in India. And I think we are going to the point of uh, a possible genocide in the way it is now being, the entire situation is developing. I'd also
So,
like to say
Firoz,
that, yeah, yeah,
carry on, carry on.
yeah. And the most worrying part is that the prime minister of this country, even I'm ashamed at times to call him the prime minister of a country, Mr. Modi, essentially never ever condemns these forms of hate speech. If he's the prime minister of all the people of this country, he should come out, which he has not done in the last 7 years of his uh, 2 years as 2 terms as prime minister. He's never come out against hate speech. He's never come out against lynchings. He's never come out against mob violence, be it against Muslims or Christians or the other minorities of this country. That is where we are. And he basically is highly bigoted himself, and he comes from the extreme Hindutva, extreme right-wing fascist wing of the Hindutva party.
So, where and how did this all start bubbling up? Because I seem to remember that a couple of years ago, I have friends and family that have been visiting India on a regular basis. And at that point, nothing was reported as far as hate crimes or genocide is concerned. I was there last 30 years ago, and things were pretty normal at the time. Why has this come about? And why is Modi pushing this agenda? Has Is it tied into politics and upcoming elections in certain states? And does he believe by promoting this agenda they'll garner more votes?
Precisely, that is the bottom line. But let's look at the larger picture. Modi came on an agenda of what he calls Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, that I am the prime minister of the entire country and the country will develop for all the people of this country. In the last 7 years, we have seen the Indian economy collapse to minus negative numbers in our GDP. And worse, we need to understand this from a caste context, that all the public sector industries of this country that we built up post independence are now being sold out to crony capitalist friends of Modi, be it the Ambanis or the Adanis and certain others. So here we have the massive transfer of power and wealth into the hands of the upper caste sections, especially the Brahmin, Banya, and the Kshatriyas, the 15% of the entire Varna, the caste system hierarchy. So this cannot be understood only in a class context. We need to understand this entire phenomenon in the caste context as well. Because finally, the BJP, the Bharatiya Janata Party, is the consolidation of the upper caste vote bank. What happened in the 1980s was the rise of the Shudra Ati Shudras, or the backward caste and the untouchables of this country, where they were demanding a share in the power structure of this country, in the jobs, in employment, which we call reservations, some call affirmative action. And that was the Mandal period. There was a Mandal commission which said that yes, there should be reservations for the backward caste and Dalits, who have been historically marginalized and oppressed and exploited by the upper caste. Now, that time the BJP was against it. Now they are for it, but by saying for it, they are destroying all of the government sector. So there's no jobs left to be reserved. There's no reservation. The reservation policy, without uttering a word, will come to zero, because there will be no private sector, no government sector left, and there's no reservation in the private sector. So that is one element. The other point is that all of our public sector industries are being sold out into the hands of a few families, and our GDP, even before the pandemic, had come to zero. India was one of the great growing economies. We were being touted as, a competitor to China. Today, you may be surprised to know that the Indian GDP is even lower than that of Bangladesh. We are now competing with Pakistan. That is where Modi has brought us to. And all our economic indexes are way, way below what we were 7 years ago. 7 years ago, we were a growing economy. Things were expanding. Yes, there were problems with the way, there were other issues with in terms of socialist, as I come from that background. But yes, things were proceeding. But with this particular cabal that is ruling this country, we are in for an economic disaster. Jobs are disappearing. People are crying. The inflation levels are historic. India has the most expensive petrol and diesel in the world. Vegetables, cooking oil, gas, all these are the issues. And what Modi and his cabal do is that they bring about, because all apart from one channel, Indie TV, all the other channels are pro-Modi. The media in this country is horrifying. It has never been this bad. The kind of psychophancy, that we see in our media. So the media prime time stories are essentially polarizing, anti-Muslim, creating a Hindu phobia, creating further polarization, division, all serving to create the Hindu vote bank for Modi, where the fear of the Muslim, the hatred for the Muslim is your vote, not about the economy, not about your job, not about the sorry state of affairs in our country, where, especially post the entire pandemic phase, things are just worsening at every level for this country. It's a horrifying
Okay,
situation
Feroze.
of
All right,
1.3 billion people.
we're going to continue our discussion in a minute or two. Please stand by. We're going for an ad break.
Right.
In Afghanistan, millions of people go daily without food. You can heal Afghanistan. Sponsor towards feeding a family at 1,500 in a month or any amount. Visit africamuslimsagency.co.za or call 011 834 8685. Africa Muslims Agency, inspiring the spirit of giving.
Alhamdulillah, we are finally free of riba. Birkat smells lovely.
Yeah, with Yakina, I managed to stop all the riba, Hajo. Ach, this insurance price is going up again.
Oh, we are not free of riba, Babu. You need to stop the insurance.
We have to have insurance, Hajo. You know how bad it is with all the crime and the accidents.
Have a little yakin now, Babu.
Yeah, man, I do have a little yakin. But I wish there was a way to leave all these riba insurance companies, man. It's my riba.
Babu, I can't handle this. The stench. It stinks.
Is that my underarms?
No, the riba stinks. Please find a way to stop this riba insurance, Babu.
Leaving Riba Insurance is easier than you think. Call Amana IFS for all your personal and commercial takaful needs. 0861 786 393. Amana. Leave a riba for good. Amana IFS is a registered financial services provider.
Approximately 785 million people in this world do not have access to safe, clean water. In developing countries, around 80% of all illnesses are due to contaminated water.
Sure, it's hot in here, man.
Dirty
Ask him
water
to
and
bring a little
there is a
fan.
water gap in Bangladesh, Malawi, Nepal, Zimbabwe, or here at home in South Africa. Donate to Penny Appeal's First Relief Project to bring safe, clean water to communities around the world. www.pennyappeal.org.za or call 031 1100 573. Penny Appeal. Small things, big difference.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate. Nothing less than a
I'm
masterpiece.
hearing another.
Droplets of gold inspires
I'm
precious
hearing
design,
something else in
platinum
Indian
earth,
radio
touch of
station or
freshness,
something.
and every pure diamond
listen.
becomes more than just a girl's best friend. Voda Gold Gem
Okay, it's
Jewelers,
gone. Maybe it
where
was on
timeless
Feroze's
dreams
side.
become a reality. Come to us. We tailor-make designer gold,
It's
platinum,
back
and
again.
diamond jewelry. Trade in or remodel your old gold. Clad yourself
And
in
this is
classy
listening
name
to the
brand
radio.
gadget. We offer insurance valuation and freezer card calculation.
Listen.
Visit us at 534 Ridge Road, Overport, or call 031 208 9142. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold and diamond jewelry.
No.
Little bare feet on the icy wet ground, a shiver at his lips, mud on his clothes. When he is cold, the hunger is worse, the nights are longer, and the pain is more severe.
Okay.
What if this was your child? The Al Imdad Foundation's Global Winter Appeal allows you to make a difference for refugees, IDPs, and struggling communities in 21 countries globally. Sponsor a winter pack today for just 600 Rand. Donate online at alimdad.com or call 0861 786 243.
For a long time, we've lived in a centralized world, where institutions held the all-important data and confirmed all transactions. Those times are over. Welcome to Libertas Group, a blockchain development company boasting an ecosystem that continually redefines the way we do business. Our blockchain is decentralized, making it immune to hacking or alteration, putting the power back in your hands with no middleman so you can focus on the growth of your business. Libertas, the simplest investment choice you'll make.
Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
The time is exactly 9:37 a.m. South African time or Central African time. We're talking with Feroze Mithiborwala. He's an Indian activist talking about the genocide, for want of a better word, genocide that's playing out against Muslims and other minority groups in India. Now, Feroze, welcome back. And one wonders at the opposition parties, they haven't pushed back strongly enough, have they? It seems almost as if they're struggling to formulate a response to this sort of rhetoric that does not result them being labeled anti-Hindu in the least.
You're right about that, which is also very worrying. On the other hand, of course, Rahul Gandhi, the leader of the largest opposition party, the Congress party, has come out against this kind of hate speech and calls for the genocide he has. But the other parties are keeping silent. And the point is that the Bharatiya Janata Party is creating a trap for the opposition parties, especially in context of the election in the largest state of India, Uttar Pradesh, where there is a fear of the BJP losing. So every day they're trying to create traps where the Muslim-Hindu issue should be brought to the forefront. The political parties have realized that trap and they're keeping away from that issue. And they are raising issues of national concern, the economy, and national unity and communal harmony. That is the other way they're responding. The other point is that essentially the biggest defeat for Modi, and this is the biggest victory we've had in the last 7 years, historic victory, is the victory of the farmers' movement, where Modi was forced to pull back the laws that were passed in the parliament. Now, this farmers' movement has actually upset all of Narendra Modi's calculations. For a year, the farmers were resisting these laws, which were passed by Modi to again benefit the corporations, because the corporations are taking over every sector of the Indian economy, and this was the last big chunk of Indian economy left, which was out of the control of the corporations. And this bill would have the production to the land to all the resources would have gone into the hands of the corporations, the ones who are actually backing Modi, the ones who are actually have Modi there as a merely as a face, because Modi actually lost it in his mind. I'll tell you an interesting story about that as well. So now to counter the farmers' movement, because in Uttar Pradesh, which has a population of uh, 200 million and more, I mean, that's the population of just one state of India. It's the largest state. If Modi loses in Uttar Pradesh in 2022, he will lose the elections in 2024. So the entire battleground is North India. And out of the 5 states going to the elections, the Bharatiya Janata Party is going to lose 4 for sure. And in Uttar Pradesh.
Okay, the picture is just frozen there. I hope you can hear me. Let me ask you my final question, Feroze, and that is, we're hearing noises from the BJP, one of them being the reason why Muslims are being targeted and other minority groups, Christians, for example, is that Muslims and Christians are on a mass scale move to convert Hindus to Islam and Christianity, and this is the pushback that the BJP is doing against the conversions. Is that in fact true or not? Okay, we seem to be having a connection problem there. So unfortunately, we will have to leave it there. The next time we have Feroze online, inshallah, we will put that specific question to him. It is exactly 9:42 a.m. Time for us to move on with our final interview for the morning. And that obviously is going to be with Africa Muslim Agency. Hafiz Hussein Chunara, who is on the ground in Malawi, but that will come to you after the ad break.